Your pension is likely to be the second biggest asset you own after your home. Therefore, if you die, it's important to understand whether this pension can be inherited. When it comes to the inheritance of pensions, there is no one easy rule. There's a complex mess of different rules for different pensions and different scenarios. But understanding which rule applies to you is crucial, as this can ensure your pension is inherited and passed on to the right person with as little tax paid as possible. In this video, I'm going to run through some of the scenarios for different pension assets and explain how each one will be inherited. I'm Carl Roberts from RTS Financial Planning. So when it comes to pensions, there's basically three types: the state pension, a defined contribution pension, or a defined benefit pension. So let's start with the state pension. Basically, when you reach state pension age, providing you've paid enough national insurance contributions, you'll receive your state pension. If you're married or in a civil partnership, and if you die, then your spouse could potentially inherit some of your state pension. But there's no pot as such. It just means that if your spouse's pension, state pension, is not as high as yours, they can claim some of yours to top their state pension up. There is no ability for your child to inherit any state pension. On second death, both state pensions are lost and gone. If we look at a defined contribution pension, this is the sort of pension that you might have with your workplace, where you pay in, your employer pays in, and you get tax relief from the government. You've invested the money and it's sitting there with a pot value. So when it comes to retirement, you have two choices in how you draw down on this cash. You could go and purchase annuity, or you could draw down the money as when you want to, keeping the money invested in the pot. So if you choose the annuity option, the way that death benefits will work will very much depend on the annuity option you've chosen. If you've chosen a single life annuity, that means the annuity is going to pay you an income for the rest of your life and will end once you die. There'll be nothing for anyone else. If you choose a joint life annuity, it means that your income may be reduced and paid to a spouse after your death. But after the death of your spouse, there'll be nothing left, no inheritance for your children. If we look at the drawdown option for a defined contribution pension, then whatever is left in the pot at the point you die can be inherited by your loved ones. Now, turning to a defined benefit pension, also known as a final salary pension, these get a bit more complicated. First instance, a bit like the annuity route, you'll receive a guaranteed income for the rest of your life, and there'll probably be some form of reduced income available to your spouse on your death. And then once your spouse has died, again, the pension is lost and there's not usually anything left for the children. Now, if you're still working for the company, it's an active scheme, there may be some form of death in service benefits. There could be a lump sum payable to your estate available for your loved ones, but that's probably about it. So if we turn to the tax side of things, for the state pension and a defined benefit pension, it's pretty simple really. You can only really pass on an income to your spouse if you die. So all that happens is that income is taxed at their income tax marginal rate. But when it comes to the defined contribution pension and leaving a pot to your family, how that's taxed will depend on what age you die. So the first good news is that pensions are not subject to inheritance tax, providing that you don't die within 2 years of any transfers. But where they could be taxed is if you die after age 75. So if you die before age 75, you can leave your entire pot to whoever you wish, and they won't pay any tax on it. They can withdraw the whole thing and spend it as they wish. Now, if they decide to take it out and leave it in their estate, then obviously eventually they could pay inheritance tax on their estate, on their death. But if they spend it, there's no tax to pay. But if you die after 75, you can still pass on your pot to whoever you wish without inheritance tax implications. But all that happens is when that person who inherits your pension pot starts to withdraw the money, they will pay their income tax rate at their marginal rate. Now, one thing to also throw into the mix when it comes to tax on pensions is something called the lifetime allowance. So the lifetime allowance is about just over £1 million, and it applies to your total pension wealth. So all the pensions you have, if you combine them all together, including defined benefit pensions that have a complex formula in terms of working them out to a value, if you combine them all together, if it's more than £1 million at the point you retire, you may face a lifetime allowance tax charge. And that's a subject for another day, because that can be quite complicated in terms of how it's worked out. So the key here is to understand your position now so you can plan accordingly. For example, thinking of the defined contribution pension, it may be that you leave taking this pension income until last because of the inheritance tax benefits that you have by keeping it in a pension. You may wish to use your state pension or defined benefit pension income that you don't need because you've got other pensions to pay into a life insurance policy that will eventually pay any future inheritance tax. Or it may be that a defined benefit pension is not right for you and you need to review that pension to try and transfer it into a defined contribution pension so you have more flexibility and able to ensure higher death benefits. As always, advice here is crucial. So I'd urge you to speak to your financial advisor to discuss your pension death benefit options.